You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Live at 4. I'm going to say a very Midwestern thing. It wouldn't be so bad out if it weren't for that wind.
That is a Midwestern thing. But it did make a difference today.
It did.
Yeah, it was chilly. And we'll get an update on the weather with Blaze Keller in just a little bit. But first at 4, a coalition of school districts and education groups is suing the state over public school funding.
Yeah, nearly 20 people and entities, including the Teachers Union and School District of Beloit. Our Sarah Carlson joins us now with the story. Sarah.
The lawsuit filed in Eau Claire County argues that the legislature has failed to adequately fund public education. It says this forced districts to cut programs, increase class sizes, and rely more heavily on local property taxes. The lawsuit is asking the court to require a new funding system unless state leaders act first. The backers, including the Wisconsin Parent-Teacher Association and multiple districts, say the current system violates the state constitution by simply failing to provide students equal access to a quality education.
Article 10 of our state constitution is about public schools. Article 10, Section 3 of our Constitution expressly makes it the obligation of the legislature to create and maintain public schools around the state that provide every student between the ages of 4 and 20 in the state of Wisconsin an equal opportunity for a sound basic education.
The case names the Republican-controlled legislature as a defendant, and this is expected to eventually reach the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Now, Wisconsin State Superintendent Jill Underly also commented on this lawsuit, saying in part, quote, "Our current funding formula is not working. Some districts thrive while others struggle to meet basic needs." She also says opportunity should not depend on geography, but too often it does. This lawsuit comes as Governor Tony Evers and lawmakers continue to negotiation over how to use the state's multi-billion-dollar surplus, including whether to increase funding for schools. Brady and Susan.
Sarah, thank you. Wisconsin is joining states like Illinois and Minnesota to increase visibility for funeral processions.
Political reporter Ellie LaLiberte joins us now in the studio. And Ellie, what does this new law change?
Well, Susan, funeral processions are now able to use purple lights to identify the first vehicle in line. Now, previously, funeral processions could only use amber lights, a color used by many other work vehicles. The Wisconsin Funerals Directors Association argued that made it more difficult to differentiate the beginning of a funeral procession. Matt Gunderson, vice president of Gunderson Funeral Homes, says while it seems like a small update, the purple light can increase both safety and respect.
You know, when a funeral procession is going down the road and everything, we travel as one unit. Meaning when we get to an intersection at a lights and stuff, you know, we can proceed forward when it's green, and the rest of the procession can continue through that intersection till we're done, even if the light has changed red.
If you see a funeral procession on the road, Gunderson asks drivers to slow down and to never cut through that caravan. The law had bipartisan support and just went into effect in December. More funeral homes are expected to invest in these lights throughout the year.
Thank you, Ellie. Well, President Donald Trump will give his first State of the Union address of his second term tonight. The president has already said his speech is long, as he says he has a lot of issues to address, with a large portion of time devoted to the economy and foreign policy. Some Democrats are expected to boycott the president's address. Instead, they'll plan to attend a rally on the National Mall. Senator Tammy Baldwin says she's attending with the president's speech with Kim Frederick, a Wisconsin mother whose son has Down syndrome and requires 24-hour Medicaid-funded support.
I think it's important to show up, and that doesn't mean that I am necessarily going to be approving of this president's message, but he is the president, and it was important for me to not only be there to witness, but also to have Kim with me.
CBS News will have complete coverage of the address and the Democratic response beginning at 8 o'clock tonight.
Now let's get a look at your first warn forecast.
Yeah, today was a little warmer, while some of us have seen some scattered snow showers in the area.
First warn meteorologist Blaze Keller is here. Any more snow from today and what's headed next?
Yeah, we're looking at that snow as expected, making its way through parts of southern Wisconsin as we make our way into now the 4 o'clock hour, moving out of northwestern Wisconsin about an hour ago. And again, we were expecting expecting this to be moving in as we went into the second half of the day. If we pause, radar 3000 will take it into parts of Dane, Columbia, as well as Dodge County. That is where we are seeing some of that heavier snow marked by the dark blues up near Beaver Dam, stretching along 151 into Columbus, into Hamden, is mainly south and east of Leeds, but into Sun Prairie, into downtown Madison. This is moving over the Beltline right now and extends its way into southwestern Dane County all the way out into Blanchardville. If we take a look, though, at the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, it doesn't really look that bad. It's not certainly going to be a whiteout, but it may impact anybody leaving work here over the next, I would say, maybe 30 minutes to an hour as it continues to make its way out of parts of southern Wisconsin and pushes its way south and eastward. Visibilities are still pretty okay where that snow is currently falling, but expect or plan for the possibility of those visibilities to briefly fall as that snow moves on through. We're not done with snow chances in the extended forecast. We'll take a look at when that snow will return.
All right, Blaze, thank you. New research from the Department of Transportation shows that salt brine is just as effective as traditional rock salt at keeping winter roads safe, and it uses far less material. The study, led by UW-Madison's Traffic Operations and Safety Lab, compared parallel highway routes during a winter storm. The results found brine delivered similar traction and road conditions while using 40 to 70% less salt. Officials say the reduced use helps stretch budgets and it lowers environmental impact.
Violent clashes continue between drug cartels and Mexican soldiers after the killing of drug lord El Mencho. The Unalaska Rotary Club is still waiting it out in Puerto Vallarta. The U.S. State Department is urging Americans in the area to shelter in place, avoid crowds, and monitor local updates. Airlines have suspended flights, with many routes not expected to resume until tomorrow. The Rotary Club traveled there to deliver water filters to families in need.
Yesterday morning was a very uneasy feeling, just the smell and the smoke in the air. It was just, you read and see things like this on the news and you never want to experience this firsthand. Yes, we saw cartel at this point because we did see the mini bikes because they were on mini bikes and they're the ones that were setting the fires.
Congressman Ron Kind says he has been in contact with the group and early signs suggest the situation may be improving.
Coming up next on Live at 4, the state Supreme Court has made a decision that relates to Google and privacy.
And it may seem like a birthday staple, cake, candles, and presents, but for some families, those things are out of reach. Josh Sprider is in the 608 with how one mother is making sure every child gets a special day.
And then nearly 24 people were displaced from a Wisconsin hotel after a fire last night. We'll hear from someone staying there who tried to help put out the flames.
And Blaze is back with First Warn forecast. He's tracking some snow scattered around our area and a brief warm-up at the end of this week.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
In the 608, a simple idea from social media is now helping families in Greene County celebrate their kids' birthdays.
Yeah, as Josh Sprider shows us, one SSM Health employee turned a TikTok trend into 200 reasons to party.
When Rebecca Bordner was planning her daughter's first birthday, she came across a trend on TikTok, birthday kits for families in need. The idea stuck. So when her employer, SSM Health, opened applications for staff-led community service grants, Bordner had her plan.
When that window opened, I kind of remembered that idea that I had saw and thought that that would be something really cool for us to be able to do and give back to the community in a unique way that we had never done before.
Over their lunch break one day, around 20 volunteers created 200 birthday kits packed with cake mix, frosting, candles, balloons, decorations, and even a can of Sprite to replace perishable ingredients. The kits going to families served by Green Cares Food Pantry in Monticello and Greene County Food Pantry in Monroe. So how did they get all the supplies? Campbell's Piggly Wiggly in Broadhead had a lot to do with it as they coordinated a bulk order ahead of packing day. We stopped by the Greene County Food Pantry, where Board President Pat Sleater talked about the impact.
Our funds are limited because our funds are all donations. And so to have SSM do something like this and give us this extra kind of thing that we can offer to the people that we would not be able to offer otherwise because of our funds is just wonderful.
For Bordner, who grew up in a home where money was sometimes tight, she says it's a simple reminder that a small box of supplies can deliver something much bigger.
We had used resources and relied on other people to kind of make Christmas or birthday special. And now as an adult in a place where I can be able to give back to others, I look for unique ways to be able to pass that forward and be able to have kids have a really unique experience for a holiday.
In the 608 in Monroe, I'm Josh Breiter, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Josh. That's such a kind idea.
Great idea.
Yeah. Well, the birthday kits are now being distributed across Greene County, helping families celebrate without that added financial stress.
And a reminder, you can always watch Josh every morning and noon right here on News 3 Now. Now let's head over to the Weather Center. A little light snow is falling in parts of the area today. Blaze, how much more are we going to get?
Probably a half an inch at best. And for folks up near the Dells, it's pretty much wrapped up. For those of us in Janesville, Beloit, even Monroe, we're kind of easing into it right now. Walworth County, we've got a little bit of time before this line of snow moves on in. Let's take it in closer to parts of Dodge and Madison and Dane County, stretching from about Beaver Dam, even further north into Fond du Lac, extending its way all the way along 151 into Belleville. That's where we find the heaviest snow right now. But again, this is likely only going to accumulate at about a half an inch because it is quickly moving. So right along 151, that's where we're finding the heaviest snow, stretching back into downtown Madison and, as I mentioned, into Belleville. When we look at the sky cam in downtown Madison, we can still see Lake Mendota, the university. So it's not a heavy snow squall type of snow, but it is going to possibly make the evening commute a little bit more slick. Maybe we just slow down a little bit more because of the limited visibility as this line of snow moves on through. But by later this afternoon into the early evening, it will move on off to the east. We'll be left with partly cloudy conditions and maybe a few lingering flurries through at least the early evening hours. The rest of the week is looking more quiet and we'll be warming up. But the weekend, we're looking towards the final days of February could be filled with some snow, and as we kick off March, some snow as well. Now, we were eyeing the chance for a little bit of snow across southwestern Wisconsin Wednesday night into Thursday. That doesn't look as impressive. The center of low pressure with this is continuing to push its way further south. And in doing so, it's taking that snow with it. But we could see a few flurries, maybe a trace amount of snow across parts of Grant, Crawford, as well as Richland and western parts of Iowa and Lafayette counties before we get into the 40s later Thursday and then the 50s on Friday. And then we look ahead to the weekend. There are two chances for snow, but of the two, I think Sundays is going to be the most impactful. It has continuously showed up over the last several days in our model runs, which to me says it's probably going to happen in some capacity. There will be some minor changes between now and Sunday. That's why we're not going to talk about snow totals quite yet. But as we're planning for the weekend already, I know it's still early in the week, but let's plan for the weekend. I would say Sunday into early Monday of next week could be a chance that we see some accumulating snow, especially across southern Wisconsin. Maybe a few inches to upwards of possibly 4, depending on how this all plays out. But we're letting you know, we're first warning you that Sunday into Monday, we could be dealing with some accumulating snow. Speaking of snow, in Dunkirk, Welp took this photo of a beautiful snowflake. I think you can actually see where the Grinch was filmed. You can submit any photos there. You're scanning that QR code on your First Warn Weather app or on our website as well. 50s on Friday, 30s Saturday, 20s on Sunday. We're kicking off March in the upper 30s to low 40s.
All right, Blaze, thank you. Well, winter is still here, but severe weather season will be here before we know it. It's time to get severe weather ready. The First Warn Weather Team presents a weather special tomorrow night that explains how watches and warnings are issued, the latest research on southern Wisconsin's severe weather season, and how the First Warn Weather Team conducts severe weather drills, and much more. It airs immediately following News 3 Now at 6, tomorrow night at 6:30.
And you have just 4 days left to nominate your favorite favorite restaurants, businesses, and people for Madison Magazine's Best of Madison. Just go to channel3000.com and write in your nomination in each category. You can nominate once a day. The last day to nominate is on Saturday.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, a Madison resident is offering health care to underinsured or uninsured Black and brown people in our community.
Then a major fire ripped through a hotel in northern Wisconsin. We're looking at whether anyone was hurt and the damage.
Plus, we're looking at the aftermath of that major nor'easter that struck the mid-Atlantic states. Roughly 500,000 homes are still without power tonight, and some areas saw 80-mile-per-hour winds.
And meanwhile, pressure is growing on U.S. leaders after another high-profile arrest in the United Kingdom tied to Jeffrey Epstein.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Let's check the numbers on Wall Street today. A big rebound after yesterday's sell-off. The Dow closed up 370 points. The Nasdaq gained 236, and the S&P 500 picked up 52.
An investigation is underway after a massive hotel fire overnight in Superior. Now, this was the scene just after 11 last night at the Superior Sage Hotel on Hammond Avenue. About a dozen fire crews and first responders were on scene fighting the fire and helping to evacuate hotel guests. Bill Zaza from Cable, Wisconsin, was staying at the hotel when the fire started. He says he saw flames about 10 feet high and right away grabbed a fire extinguisher to help fight it.
I kept breaking the glass and to get the fire extinguishers, and then I pulled the alarm. And then I decided that I would go outside and try to fight it from the other side by the Quick Trip.
And we've learned the Best Western down the road took in about 20 guests for the night. One occupant of the hotel received medical attention. No firefighters were hurt. Damage is estimated at $1 million, and the cause is still under investigation.
Another quick-moving storm could dump another inch of snow on the already buried Northeast.
Yeah, they're really going through it. Airports, power companies, and residents are all trying to dig themselves out of several feet of snow. Jared Hill has the latest from New York City.
More than 3 feet of snow is blanketing towns in southeast Massachusetts, and the cleanup from this week's bomb cyclone is expected to take days.
We just got walloped. That was one big snowstorm.
37 inches fell on Providence, Rhode Island, smashing a nearly 50-year-old record by 9 inches.
Did not give it a thought that we would have another blizzard like 78 in my lifetime.
From Maine to D.C., folks are slowly digging out of the biggest blizzard in decades.
The snow is really slushy. It's just on the edge of freezing. It's very heavy to shovel.
Even the plows had trouble. This one caught on a power line. A driver narrowly escaped injury when a branch smashed through the windshield. And another fell into a sinkhole.
Both tires popped, the air brakes are gone, the whole truck's totaled.
At one point, more than 500,000 customers were without power across the Northeast. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill says more than 90% of the outages in her state have been restored.
As I've been saying, if you've seen one storm, you've seen one storm. This storm was not normal. We were ready.
Another winter system is headed for the Northeast that could bring several inches of snow or rain to some areas as soon as tomorrow morning. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Airports in several major cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia are getting back up to speed after most flights were canceled yesterday, but there have still been more than 2,000 cancellations today.
Ukraine is marking a somber anniversary today, entering into its 5th year of war after Russia's invasion of the country. While the Kremlin says its full goals have not been achieved, Ukraine's president insists that his military resolve is not broken. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on both sides have died or been wounded in Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II.
The Jeffrey Epstein files have led to another high-profile arrest in England.
Peter Mandelson, the former British ambassador to the U.S., was questioned for several hours yesterday. It follows last week's arrest of King Charles' brother Andrew. MTS Tayeb has more.
Less than a year ago, Peter Mandelson was being warmly welcomed by President Trump in the Oval Office as the UK's ambassador to the US.
Thank you. My mother would be proud.
Yesterday, he emerged from a very different doorway after he was arrested by British police at his home and later released on bail. Mandelson is suspected of the same alleged offenses as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former Prince Andrew. Both men are being probed for, quote, misconduct in public office after emails show they allegedly passed UK government information to Epstein. Their arrests represent some of the most dramatic consequences yet from the release of more than 3 million pages of Epstein-related records made public last month by the Department of Justice. Mandelson has been a towering figure within the ruling Labour Party. He was tapped by the current Prime Minister Keir Starmer for Britain's most consequential diplomatic posting.
Mr. Speaker.
A move that nearly cost Starmer his job after emails revealed Mandelson maintained contact with Epstein even after the disgraced financier's 2008 conviction for sex offences involving a minor.
He painted a picture of barely knowing Epstein. I didn't know that was lies at the time.
The DOJ's January document release added further scrutiny, showing Mandelson shared sensitive, potentially market-moving government information with Epstein in 2009 while serving as a senior minister. Now, here in Britain, the Epstein files have already toppled a prince and ended a former ambassador and political heavyweight's career and could still force a sitting prime minister to step down. It's clear the fallout from the Epstein scandal has shaken the British establishment in ways we have not seen in the U.S., at least not yet. Imtiaz Taib, CBS News, London.
Coming up on Live at 4, a man in Madison is offering health care to people of color in his community. We look at where his story began and where he is today.
And then the Madison School Board held its first meeting since the death of high schooler Sasha Rosa. We'll tell you how school leaders are responding.
Then in this week's Time for Kids segment, we're talking about heart-healthy meals, how your family can be healthier together.
And we've been talking about a wintry mix this afternoon. There is some light snow falling in several parts of the area. Blaze is back next to tell us how much more we can expect.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Live at 4. The little bit of snow was kind of pretty. The wind, not so much.
That's true. A little chilly out there. Let's take a look outside today. That light snow is still falling across several parts of the viewing area. That's nice to see some open water, isn't it?
We're getting there.
The weather words for today, end of week warm up. And Blaze is here. How warm will it get, Blaze?
50s?
Nice.
I think that sounds good, right? That's all I could do, at least for now. Maybe we get into the 60s before we go into the weekend, which does look to be snowy. So enjoy the warmth Thursday and Friday while it is here. It arrives after the snow moves on out of here. So let's take a look at some of our communities affected by this snow on Radar 3000. Crossing over 151 in Dodge County, moving more into Watertown right now. Hustisburg down into Johnson Creek along 94. That's going to continue to push its way to the south and east. So Lake Mills, it's heavy right now, but it will lighten up here within the next half an hour. Whitewater, it's on our doorstep. Koshkagong, as well as Fort Atkinson, Lake Ripley, back into Stoughton, Edgerton, especially into Porter and Evansville. That's where we're finding the heaviest snow right now. This will move its way into parts of the Janesville suburbs, Harmony, Milton as well. We find some of that heavier snow extending back into Monroe, but it has already pushed out of downtown Madison. It moved on in and moved on out quickly. So that's why we're not going to get a lot of snow out of this, because this line is moving at a decent pace. It's 33 right now. It feels like 25, though, because of those winds that Brittany and Susan were mentioning. Let's take a look at Future Track and see when the snow moves on out of here. That will be later tonight, actually, by really this evening. Probably by 6:30 at the latest. It is on out of here, and then we are left with partly cloudy conditions through the rest of this evening into Wednesday. That's when we're back into slightly more warm temperatures. Headed into the teens tonight, right around where we should be for this time of year. Partly cloudy and still breezy. Those 50s return on Friday, and I mentioned snow that following Saturday and Sunday. We'll time it all out in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. We're continuing to cover a fire today in Partyville. 4 cats unfortunately died in the fire, leaving a couple and their 8 other cats searching for a new home.
Our Tanasia Shaw talked with the family in Columbia County.
My buddy Cowboy.
Cowboy is more than a pet.
He's a silver lining during a difficult time for Paula Jacobson and Terry Falk.
Our whole life is up in the air right now.
The couple devoted their lives to cats after moving to Partyville.
When we moved into this house 27 years ago, there were cats running around through the neighborhood a lot. So we got a cat shelter license, and we started adopting them out. And we adopted over 200 cats, and the ones that were too old for us to adopt out, we kept.
Video from a neighbor shows black smoke taking over their house Monday night. The same home that was an animal sanctuary is destroyed by a fire. Out of the 12 cats, 4 of them did not survive. How are you feeling?
Torn apart.
You can see the front of this home really took a hit from the fire. You can see a part of the roof damaged, and even when you look inside by the porch, you can see that is also charred. Family told me they believe that this fire started in the living room.
It was horrible. I mean, within seconds, that couch went up like a firecracker.
And it was just billowing. And by the time I yelled at him, fire, I couldn't even see him. He was running through the house, trying to get to me.
Reporting in Partyville, Tanasia Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanasia, thank you. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. We'll hear from the fire chief coming up tonight at 6.
A local health clinic and its founder are helping black and brown men in the Madison area get health care.
Jalen Banks brings us the work of the Perry Family Free Clinic.
How can we get men to move health care to the top of their list?
That's the goal of Aaron Perry and the Rebalance Life Wellness Association of the Perry Family Free Clinic, an organization that aims to provide free health care for uninsured or underinsured black and brown men in Madison. And according to a recent KFF study, nearly 10% of black Americans are uninsured, an issue Perry wants to address.
And that was always the goal, getting guys to make their health a priority. Because at the time I started engaging with men, healthcare was at the bottom. They're trying to be a provider for their families. They're a one-car household. They're trying to get a second vehicle. A lot of challenges there.
According to the American Heart Association, black Americans are more likely to suffer from heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke. And the clinic tries to either prevent or limit these issues by giving free health screenings, help patients get insured, and provide resources for prescriptions. If you or someone you know would like more information to RLWA, you can find it on our website on channel3000.com. For now, reporting in Madison, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. A father and daughter charged in a deadly shooting on Madison's South Side are going to trial. Jorge Baez is charged with first-degree intentional homicide. Melissa Basilio Ruiz is charged with 6 counts of possessing a gun as a convicted felon. Police say Baez shot Luis Sotero Herrera on Primrose Lane last month. Their first court dates are yet to be scheduled.
This morning around 4, the Columbus Fire Department was called for a fully engulfed garage fire in Columbus. No one was inside at the time, but 3 vehicles and a motorcycle were in the garage. The building is a total loss along with everything that was inside.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled Google did not violate a Palmyra man's Fourth Amendment rights when it flagged suspected child sexual abuse material on his account. Justices said Google acted as a private company, not a government agent, and investigators did not exceed the scope of Google's initial review. The case began after a 2021 tip was sent to the National Center for Missing Exploited Children and forwarded to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. The man later pleaded guilty to multiple possession charges and is facing prison time followed by extended supervision.
Wisconsin Democrats are renewing their push to raise the state's minimum wage, unveiling a new living wage bill at the state capitol today. The proposal would raise Wisconsin's minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 upon enactment, with a scheduled increase to $20 an hour by 2030, and then would tie future raises to inflation. Supporters say the bill is especially critical for rural families, rural communities where a handful of large employers can hold wages down while costs for housing, groceries, and childcare keep rising.
1 million Wisconsin workers earn less than a living wage. In fact, in not one of Wisconsin's 72 counties is $15 an hour a living wage today. Today, in not one of our 72 counties is even $20 an hour a living wage. So this bill is not only long overdue, it's actually pretty modest compared to what people actually need to thrive.
Under the bill, small businesses with 50 or fewer employees would get a longer phase-in period to reach $20. The measure would also raise the tipped minimum wage from $2.33 to $7.50 immediately, and then to $10, and eventually tie it to half of the standard minimum wage. Opponents to the bill say this minimum wage should be dictated by the free market rather than the government.
The Madison School Board held a moment of silence at its first meeting in honor of Sasha Rosen. On February 5th, Rosen, a senior at West High School, was killed in a crash on South Park Street while walking to the bus stop. Police say the driver, Kathleen Borgwart, was traveling at about 60 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. Borgwart is charged with second-degree reckless homicide in connection with the crash.
Sasha is remembered as someone who was a lover of music and the arts, known for his beautiful story and the strong bonds he formed with his teachers and peers. Sasha's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff in the West High School community, and we remember them tonight.
At the meeting, the board has designated the Park Street bus stop as unusually hazardous.
Well, next on Live at 4, balancing life and preparing heart-healthy meals for your family can be a challenge.
Yeah, where do you even begin? In this week's Time for Kids segment, we break down what's great for your heart and for your plate.
And then things are cold with a wintry mix sprinkled across the area. That looks like a little ice on the Upland Hills camera tonight. Blaze will tell us more in the First Warn forecast.
Watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
We're taking a live look at Lago Vista, Texas. The weather there, well, it's also windy, but sunny, 72 degrees.
Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little different, huh? Lago Vista is just northwest of Austin. So your fun fact today, Austin has the largest urban bat colony in North America. Oh, I've seen this. With more than 1.5 million bats coming from the Congress Avenue Bridge at dusk. It's really cool.
You've seen it in person?
I have,
Oh,
yeah.
that is cool. Well, News 3 Now and SSM Health's Time for Kids, a Recipe for Health campaign continues. And this week's tip, eat a heart-healthy diet.
News 3 Now's Kyrian Lee shows us some simple ways families can boost heart health together.
Joining me to share heart-healthy tips and meal ideas is nutrition coach Zaja Billingsley. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So what types of food should families try to limit?
I would say for heart health, you would want to limit the amount of trans fats, saturated fats, sodium. Definitely keep it below the 2,300 milligrams per day limit that the AHA recommends.
One of our suggestions we have for families this week is trying to plan a week where every meal includes at least one raw or cooked fruit or vegetable. So what's your recommendation for that?
I'm trying to actually figure out how to store fresh fruits. If you get vegetables that are already prepackaged, making sure you cook them quickly. If you need to freeze anything, make sure you do that just so you can actually have fresh produce readily available.
Absolutely. So how can families incorporate whole grains in meals?
Whole grains, definitely use, of course, whole bread, brown rice, quinoa is kind of considered whole grain. When you are choosing any type of carb, make sure it does say that it has the full amount of grains in it.
And how can families really lean into plant power and add at least one meatless meal to their weekly dinner plan?
Yes, so meatless meals. Beans are a very good replacement for meats. In these bell peppers here, these are meatless. I replace the usual turkey, chicken, whichever you would actually use, with kidney beans.
So what are some simple ways to cut down on sodium without sacrificing flavor? Because we can't have that.
Basil is good. Lemon juice, anything citrus is good for seasoning, giving more flavor. Garlic is very powerful to use.
Okay, so let's walk us through here. What are some meals that families can try out this week or in weeks to come?
I also have a classic yogurt parfait that has the fruit. The nuts are walnuts. They have the healthy fat sources that you would need. Sort of low carb. It does have berries and raspberries in it. You can use whatever fruits you like. And I have quinoa. salmon and a spinach and tomato mix. The salmon is good with omega-3s. Those are the healthy fats that you do need. The spinach is good for, heart health in the aspect of it has magnesium, nitrates, those loosen the blood vessels a bit, helps with immunity. And quinoa is also a complete protein, plant-based as well.
We'll share these recipes and everything you need to know over on our website, channel3000.com.
Thank you, ladies. Some great tips. And it's nice to think back to last week when we were in the 50s and 60s, but it's a little snowy out there today.
Yeah, just a distant memory, huh, Blaze?
That's right. Yes, memories all alone in the moonlight. They keep coming and going, and we are dealing with the snow, and this is going to go, and then another round of snow is going to come this weekend. So let's take Radar 3000 into where the heaviest snow is right now, which would be over Janesville. This is marked by those darker blues, beginning to exit out of Porter and Evansville, pushing into Footville. Janesville, we haven't really tapped into the heaviest snow quite yet. That's just north of downtown. Milton up into Edgerton. We're starting to ease out of it, Edgerton, but Milton, Koshkonong, we're certainly going to be dealing with that. La Prairie as well. All the way north into Fort Atkinson and Jefferson, another pocket of some of that heavier snow. But back to the west, we are quiet. Downtown Madison, we were dealing with some of that heavier snow earlier, but that has since pushed off to our south and east. Still a bit of a wind chill out there. It's 33, but it feels like 27. A few flurries lingering once this line of snow moves on out of here through the early evening. The rest of the week looking generally quiet, and as I mentioned, more snow expected by this weekend. So we were thinking there was a chance for some snow Wednesday night into Thursday, mainly across southwestern parts of Wisconsin. There is still a chance, but the center of low pressure, it is very weak, continues to be pushed off towards the south. And in doing so, it's taking that snow with it, because the snow, the farther it gets away from that weak center of low pressure, is really going to fizzle apart. So it's going to follow wherever it goes, which is going to likely stay into parts of Iowa, but we may squeeze out about a trace of snow across parts of Crawford, Grant, and maybe western parts of Richland, Iowa, and Lafayette counties. Then we look ahead to Saturday and Sunday. Of the two chances, I would say Sundays is likely going to be the heavier of the two if this all comes together. And I've been consistently seeing Sunday's snow chance on our weather models, which to me says it's probably not going to be moving out of the Midwest anytime soon. It will certainly fluctuate the path, maybe a little bit north tomorrow, maybe a little bit south the following day. But it is looking like this would probably be, of the two, if it does stay where it's currently at, likely to bring at least parts of southern Wisconsin a couple inches of snow. I'm showing you this not because these are the totals that we are going to see. Certainly not. What I'm showing you is the two chances for snow. Saturday, we start to see the line go up, and then Sunday into Monday, we see that line go up with our other weather model as well. So throughout the rest of the week, we stay quiet. It's this weekend that we see more of that impactful snow. There is a look at our 7 and 10 day forecast. We'll be a little bit cooler certainly that following Monday if we do get a decent amount of snow. And then we'll climb back into those 40s by the end of the first week of March.
Thank you, Blaze. Our Spirit of Service Award is back. News 3 Now and Vortex Optics are looking to recognize a local veteran who is going above and beyond in service to others. Today until March 22nd, we're accepting nominations for local veterans making a positive impact in their community. Voting is open from March 30th through April 12th, and then we'll announce the winner April 15th.
A reminder, tomorrow you can watch the Bucks on our sister station TVW. They'll play the Cavaliers at home. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. The Green Bay Packers say they're continuing a policy aimed at protecting home field advantage at Lambeau Field. The team will decline to renew season tickets for fans who repeatedly resell their seats, especially those who sell all of their regular season tickets for multiple years. Team officials say the goal is to keep more seats filled by Packers fans and to maintain the game day atmosphere. Still to come at 4, we're covering the biggest stories of the day in the afternoon sprint. It's 4:53, time for the afternoon sprint.
A coalition of school districts and education groups is suing the state over public school funding. The lawsuit, filed in Eau Claire County, argues the legislature has failed to adequately fund public education, forcing districts to cut programs, increase class sizes, and rely more heavily on local property taxes.
President Trump will give his State of the Union address, the first of his second term, tonight. A large portion of time will be devoted to the economy and foreign policy. CBS News will have complete coverage of the address and the Democratic response. It begins tonight at 8 o'clock.
A father and daughter charged in a deadly shooting on Madison's South Side are going to trial. Jorge Baez is charged with first-degree intentional homicide. Melissa Basilio Ruiz is charged with 6 counts of possessing a gun as a convicted felon. Police say Baez shot Luis Sotero Herrera on Primrose Lane last month. The court date in which they'll formally hear their charges is yet to be scheduled.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled that Google did not violate a Palmyra man's Fourth Amendment rights when it flagged suspected child sexual abuse material on his account. Justices said Google acted as a private company, not a government agent, and that investigators did not exceed the scope of Google's initial review.
And we are continuing to track that snow, moving its way now into more of Rock County, soon to be Walworth counties, exiting parts of Greene County. At 5, we'll take a look at where the heaviest snow is falling and if there's any more snow in that extended forecast.
All right, thank you, Blaze.
We have a look at the stories we're working on for News 3 Now at 5 after this. Coming up at 5, lawmakers are introducing a new bill that would impose the death penalty for those who sexually assault children under the age of 12. And a local group is creating opportunities for the Black youth community through dance and mentorship. Michelle Renee Quinn has that story. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We love spending this time with you, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. You can find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.